Kelly. We're supposed to have a family house here. However, she, the executive director, unfortunately got hospitalized with sepsis and pneumonia. So she's doing better, but she's still having lung problems. So if you wouldn't mind saying a prayer for her lungs, she'd appreciate that. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll be out of the hospital soon. But thankfully, Jobs Partnership agreed to come and speak to us and tell us all about their program. A wonderful program, and I'm going to get a little bio up here for Mila, who's going to be speaking to us. So, Miss Mila Brown was born in Springfield, Illinois. Oh, I forgot the name of how to say it already. Raised in a town in California. Tehachapi, thank you. And currently resides in Peoria, Illinois. As a mother of three, Mila gracefully balances her role as a mother with a demanding position she holds with Jobs Partnership. During a difficult time in her life, Mila made some poor choices that resulted in being sentenced to serve time in prison. It was during her time in prison that Mila began participating in 2 programs that changed her life by providing order, hope for her future, and by introducing her to Christ, whom she continues to serve with all her heart. The first program involved training companion and service dogs for people with disabilities and people that are socially isolated. Mila developed a love for the dogs she trained and became devoted to the idea of giving her life in service to something bigger than herself. And as her release date approached, Mila began to pray that God would direct her and provide her with the support she needed to leave a life that had led her into incarceration. Shortly after she began praying, Mila was introduced to the Jobs Partnership Program. Mila believed that the Jobs Partnership Program would give her the structure she needed to be successful in her upcoming transition. Mila applied for and was accepted to live in the Jobs Partnership supported living home, where she was surrounded by mentors and church community that encouraged her progress. I'm saying Mila. Yes. I'm so sorry. Mila was hired and employed as a team lead at G&D Integrated, where she worked for 2 years before being hired full-time at Jobs Partnership as administrative assistant to the executive director. As assistant to the executive director, Mila also mentors, works as an advocate, and as a public speaker for this life-changing program. Being able to participate in the program this way fulfills Mila's dream, our deep passion to reach out to others that are in similar situations she was in before Jesus led her into the changes that have defined her present life. Mila looks forward to being able to share her life experience and the skills she has gained to reach out to others and to advance the Jobs Partnership Program in any way she can.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, I would like to introduce, I am an assistant, but God has sent me an assistant because I was so overwhelmed. So I want to introduce her. Her name is Paige. She's awesome, you guys. I wouldn't be able to do anything without her. So like Steve said, I am the administrative assistant for Jobs Partnership, but most importantly, I'm a graduate. I took this class a year before I was being released from Logan Correctional Center. And I really, at that time, I did not know where I was going to go. I just knew I could not go back to where I came from. You know what they say, you got to change people, places, and things. So I knew that I had to change everything. So when I first got into the Jobs Partnership class in Logan, they started telling me about this house that they had for women, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's where I'm going. And so I just prayed about it, and I had women in there that supported me and prayed with me, and I did the application, I did the interview, and then one day I got a phone call and they accepted me. And it was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Like, I just knew that this was going to be a brand new start for me. So once I got here in Peoria, I knew nobody. I didn't know anybody except for Jobs Partnership. And Miss Cheryl Parks, the executive director, she says, well, I want you to start speaking, and I want you to start talking to people about your testimony and about what the program's done for you. And I'm like, Cheryl, I'm not a speaker. And she's like, no, you'll get used to it. she didn't listen to me. And she said, no, you're going to speak. And I'm like, okay. And so now I kind of know how she felt because now I do the same thing to Paige. Or I'll start. The very first time I spoke was at our thank you dinner for 2019. The gentleman that I spoke with, his name is Tyrone Brown, and he made a video. He wrote a poem, and he made a video. So I would like to show you guys this video. It's called I Am.
I am an ex-offender. I am an ex-drug dealer. I am an ex-drug abuser. I am not ashamed of who I am. I am not who I used to be. I am a productive member of society and my community. I am a family man. I am responsible. I am dependable. I am respected. I am grateful. I am loved. I am reborn through the blood of Jesus Christ. I am a miracle. I am Jobs Partnership.
For more information on how to become a Jobs Partnership volunteer, donate to the program, or to become a participant, please visit our website at jobspartnershippeoria.org.
So that is actually now our employment coach. We have a financial coach and an employment coach. Our financial coach, Vicki Eckhart, she helps our participants learn how to budget, and she teaches them how to start building their credit. She's helped many guys that are fresh out of incarceration help get their stimulus checks, get back on their feet. And we also work with Phoenix House to help them get into housing and stuff like that. And then our employment coaches, they go out and recruit all of our participants. So pre-COVID, we were in 13 prisons, including the federal prison for men and the women's work release federal work boot camp. And then we were also in Peoria County Jail. But because of COVID, we could no longer get in there. And so we had to figure out a way to still have these classes for people and keep it going. So we decided to have community classes, which we always had a community class at Southside Mission, but it wasn't like everything. We have a core program of 12 we call them JP lessons. They're Bible studies. That those are the lessons that go into the prison. But we figured out that when we were helping people get jobs, they would get the jobs, but they still had so many issues, trauma from their past, depression, anxiety, stuff like that, that they weren't getting help for. So they would end up losing their jobs. We could get them 1 million jobs, but if we didn't get them help with the other issues that they had, then you're not going to be able to keep a job when you're depressed every other day and you're calling in and stuff like that. And so we wanted to implicate other things into our program, life skills. So we now have we have an addiction specialist. He's a retired addiction specialist that comes in. He talks about addiction, spirituality, 12 steps, and mental health. We have a Southside, the Soul Southside. They come in and do a yoga class and teach people just breathing treatments. We have Steve come in and talk to them about credit and budgeting, stuff like that. We also have Prairie State Legal. They come in and talk to them about expungement. We have an All My Money class that teaches them as well about budgeting, and our financial coach does that. We have a job readiness class that teaches them how to interview and how to dress for interviews and how to answer interview questions, because a lot of people don't know that. We also are trying to bridge the relationship between the Peoria police officers and the community. So we have an officer come in and speak to our class, every class. And some of the questions are like, how did you get where you are today? And the students ask the officer these questions, and the officer asks the student. And so, and what kind of advice can you give? You know, so the actual participants are giving advice to the officer on how they think that it would be easier for the bridge to be gapped, how they can communicate better with people, you know, the civilians, and also how we can communicate better with the officers so that there's no misunderstandings and no arguing, and, you know, and we can grow relationships. We have a financial manager. His name is Bob Lane. He's awesome. He actually graduated from Bradley University at the age of, I believe it was 17. So we're so lucky to have him. Our executive director, Cheryl Parks, she's my mentor and one of my best friends. I don't know what I would have done without her. Thursdays are her grandkids' day, though, so that's why you guys got me. You got the next best thing. She's training me. We have other experts that come in. We do MRT. We do anger management. We don't make them do anger management, but we hope that the ones that know that they have those issues, that they'll be willing to come in and do it. It gets pretty deep in there. Most of the time, anytime that we're doing anger management, I usually see a man cry. And once I see the man coming out crying from doing his testimony, I know that it's working. I know that something good is happening in there. So we also have a solar training class that is connected to some of our workshops. We do 3 solar training classes a year, and they do get paid. So they get a $10 an hour stipend to go through this 5-week course. They get trained to learn how to lay solar panels, but that's not what they have to do. We've had many people go through the training and graduate, and like one of our girls, she's been working for Straight Up Solar for 2 years now, and she had a fear of heights. So her main goal was to work on not doing the panels. I'm going to figure out what I can do. But she knew she couldn't pass up the opportunity, and she knew I wasn't going to let her. So she now works in the office part-time, and she also works with their drones. And they use their drones to assess the buildings and stuff and see what needs to be done. So it's a really awesome job, and she really enjoys it. Let's see. So a big part of our thing was coping with trauma. And so we work a lot with like the yoga. It's trauma yoga. So it's teaching you when you have triggers. It's teaching you how to learn what your triggers are, and then the tools to how to deal with the anxiety and stuff like that when you get triggers. That's a big one for me. And it teaches you also, like some of our JP classes are on integrity, who's the boss. It teaches you how to respect authority and stuff like that. And it also teaches you how to forgive and just know that you can be the best you if you just put everything in God's hands and let him have it. That's exactly what I had to do. I had to just learn to give it to him and just be like, okay, here you go, Daddy. It's yours. It's all yours. You can have all this mess. Here, you fix it. Let's see. Oh, family restoration. So we also have many programs under Jobs Partnership. So family restoration, some of our guys, so every year on Christmas, we worked with Holy Family Church. We worked with Holy Family Church, and so the guys that have graduated our program have children, right? And we also want to bridge that gap. So those, we call those our voiceless victims, the victims of the family members. So you get incarcerated and your kids no longer have you, your wife no longer has you, your mom no longer has you. So we wanted to do something for them and to try to keep the relationships going. So we work with Holy Family every year on Christmas. They get gifts for all the children of our guys that graduated that are incarcerated. And we have a big Christmas thing. I get Santa Claus, and I dressed up as an elf last year. That was fun. And so we usually help about 50 to 55 children every year for Christmas gifts. We do that, and then also with family restoration, sometimes it's hard for people to go visit. And so we help with gas cards or Walmart cards to help them with household products or school supplies, whatever it is that they need. We have that to try to help the family members. We are also now a diaper bank. We go through Loving Bottoms diaper bank in Galesburg, and I did not imagine how many people needed help with diapers until we got them, and I had Paige post it on Facebook. And so now, gosh, we've given away like a month. I think the most we've given away was like 750 diapers a month. And then we also have wipes. So there's flyers on your table for that. So anybody in need, they can get 50 diapers a month plus wipes. We also every now and then get formula. And I know formula's been very scarce lately. And so it's like organic formula, but hey, you do what you gotta do. Huh? So anybody in need, you guys just have them call that number. The classes, we have another class starting August 8th, I believe. Hopefully we're back in 3 of the prisons. We just had our first graduation since COVID last night, and that was actually the very first time that I went back into a facility since I've been home since 2018. So it was very overwhelming, but it was a very humbling and exciting experience for me because I got to go in and tell my story and let them know what God has done for me and what this program has done for me. And a lot of them are coming here to Peoria to the Work Release Center. So we'll be able to help them and help get them going on the right track and start a new life as well. I think that's pretty much it. Are there any questions? Okay.
How are these programs funded?
Through grants and grants and private donations.
I saw Sister Rachel was on the back of the brochure. Is she still with you?
Yes, sir.
She's not here. I didn't miss her, did I?
No, she's
okay.
not here
Can
today.
you-
She's actually on vacation right now. But yeah, she does our job readiness class for
Yeah,
us.
maybe just speak to the role she plays.
I'm sorry?
Speak to the role that she plays
Yes,
with
sir.
the organization.
So Sister Rachel she goes into Peoria County Jail and she does the jobs partnership lessons with the women in there. She's actually very excited. We're waiting to see if we're going to be able to get back in there soon. So she's very excited for that. So the role that she plays since we haven't been in the county jail, she does our jobs readiness class, which is the one that teaches people how to interview, what to wear on interviews, and the questions that you're going to be asked and stuff like that. And we are actually, anybody that would like to volunteer, we're always looking for volunteers. We also get volunteers for lunches. A lot of our participants live at the rescue mission or at the work release center or in the federal halfway house, so they don't get home cooked meals. So I try to get a home cooked meal from some of our volunteers at least twice a week. We always have food in our kitchen for them so that they can eat because it's a full day. They're there from 8:45 to about 4, usually every day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We take Thursdays off, and then they're back on Friday. But I like to have them a nice meal, you know. Just feed them good and keep them coming back. I've learned that real quick. If we have food and drinks, they will come.
Do you guys accept like clothing donations?
Absolutely. We actually just, Paige and I and Miss Cheryl just built our clothing room. We have a participant that graduated in 2020. He had been incarcerated for 27 years. And once he graduated, he wanted to get back to the program. So now every 6 months, he goes to Kohl's and he buys dress shirts and ties and slacks for our men, so that when they graduate and they go on their interviews, they are sharp. And we've actually had employers call us and tell us, you guys, your guys are always the sharpest. And I'm always like, yes. So yes, we take all donations, kids' clothes, anything, women's clothes as well. We have women in our program as well.
Any other questions?
How many people are in the program right now?
Okay, so right now, this is actually a good class. Our class started this time, what was it, page 23? And we're actually down to 20. So a lot of times when it first starts, people, they're not ready. We always tell them, okay, you're more than welcome to come back. If you're not ready this time, that's fine, but we're always here. We will never turn anybody away. If you're not ready now and you're ready the next class, come on back, try it again. We've literally had to remove people from even the solar class, and because, you know, they just weren't ready, weren't doing right, and we told them, you guys can come back when you're ready. And one of our guys that we removed, he came back to the next class and he graduated, and he actually graduated CDL program at ICC, and he just got the very first application he put in for Prairie Farms, and he got it. And I'm okay, where are you going to be driving, Jack? I need to know what streets to stay off of. But I am so proud of him. We've worked really hard with him for about a year, and it's not always an easy job. It's not. I'm not going to say that it's always rainbows and sunshine with these guys, but there's always something that makes it worth it. There's always just, you know, I had a rough week this week, but when I went to that graduation last night, it made it worth it. It's amazing to see people change, and my thing is giving people the opportunity that I had and the support that I had when I came home.
So it's like an 8-week program, right?
Yes. Okay, so if you're doing solar, the only thing about solar, the only people that we cannot accept into solar because they won't hire them is sex offenders. We accept sex offenders in our program, and we do help get them jobs, but they cannot go through solar because no company, you know, they work on schools and residential places. So we have to keep everybody safe, including the participant. And so they can absolutely go through our 3-week jobs partnership workshop, and then once they graduate, we'll help get them jobs elsewhere. But if you're going through the solar, then it's 8 weeks. The first 3 weeks, we don't have the money to give them a stipend. That's our workshop. And we look at it like, hey, if you're willing to go through this 3 weeks, then you're ready. Then if you're going to do this with no pay, then you're really wanting to do something. But if you're not willing to do that, then, you know, you're not ready to put in the effort, and there's sacrifices that you have to make sometimes. And so we don't send anybody to any of our employers until we know that they're willing to take that step.
So thanks very much for being here.
Absolutely.
So a lot of us have experience in similar programs. Mine is Loaves and Fish downtown at First United Methodist Church. And I'm thinking about your work environment, and we have security. We have off-duty police for all our volunteers. What's your arrangement?
We have a neighborhood officer, Officer Jacob Bradford. He lives like a block away. And so he's usually right there. We're right across from Central High School. So normally an officer is sitting in our church parking lot from morning to afternoon anyway, so we're pretty lucky with that. But as I said, the neighborhood officer is about a block away, so we really don't have any issues with that. There's been a few times, the participants, we've had participants that, there's mental health issues sometimes that come along with it. And if we have to call the officer, we call them and we let them know, you can't act like this. Or there's been people that we've had to tell, you cannot come back on the grounds. And but honestly, thank God we have the relationship that we have with the officers, with Peoria police officers, because they're right there for us.
Do you ever run into issues with people not being able to financially afford to be in the program? Like,
it's free.
Well, so like they could get a job quickly that's paying minimum wage, and they opt to take that over going through the readiness program, or like issues like that?
Yes, a lot. So I completely, and they come to me all the time, I completely understand you have to make a living. You're in a situation, you have to do what you have to do. So I try my hardest to talk them into, if you have to get a job, get it for at night. For at least this first 3 weeks. Get it for at night. Once you get past this first 3 weeks, the employment coach is awesome. And we don't get, and this is another thing I let them know, you can take that minimum wage job and not take this program, or you can be patient and sacrifice, and we're not going to get you a minimum wage job. We're going to get you a family sustaining job. Most of our jobs, look, sometimes I'm like, what am I doing here? I know. He tells me, oh, I just got this guy a job, $24 an hour. I'm like, wait a minute, what? I look at Miss Cheryl like, what are we doing here? We need to go there. And she's like, well, let's go. And then I'm like, okay, God, we're just joking. We're just joking. I move away from her like, strike her. So I go through it all the time. There's been guys that, and I tell them, please take the weekend. Don't just accept this job. Please take some time. Go somewhere where you can be by yourself and weigh all of your options. I understand that you haven't had no money for a long time, but this is 3 weeks, buddy. 3 weeks. Miss Cheryl's Italian. I've been around her too long. So I start to do this. So yeah, and I try to make them understand that it'll be worth it in the end. But again, if you got to get it at night, but don't sleep in my class. If you sleep, I'm going to come tap you on your shoulder and make you wake up or something, stand up something. But I just try to work with them. And sometimes I've had guys choose the job, and guess what? A couple classes later, they're back. So I'm like, don't want to say I told you so, buddy, but kind of told you.